It might be long set. Yeah, just go down. He can sit on it. Off that job.
खोल के इसके नीचे रखना है।
Sign is screwed over.
उतार दो शूज क्या उतारने शूज
Yeah.
कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय।
आपने बोल देना है ना। सतीश गुप्ता सतीश
सतीश का
ओम विष्णुर 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 श्रीमद भगवतो महापुरुषस्य विष्णु राज्ञया प्रवर्त मानस्य अद्य श्री ब्रह्मणो द्वितीय परार्थ श्री श्वेत वराह कल्पे सप्तमे वैवस्वत मन्वंतर अष्ट विशांतितमे कलो कलियुगे प्रथम चरणे भूलोके जम्मदीपे बौद्धोवतारे अंतर्गतः अमेरिका खंडे अमेरिका देशे न्यू जर्सी राज्य मध्ये एटको ग्राम्य मध्ये विस्टर फ्यूनरल होम मध्ये वर्तमान संवत्सरेण विक्रम संवत 2081 अनल नाम संवत्सरेण शालिवाहन सके 1946 क्रोधी नाम संवत्सरेण उत्तरायणे शिशिर स्थित ऋतो मासोत्तम मासे माघ मासे कृष्ण पक्षे चतुर्थी पुण्यतिथो सूर्यवासरे हस्त स्थित नक्षत्रे धृति स्थित योगे भव स्थित करणे कन्या राशि स्थित चंद्रे कुंभ राशि स्थित सूर्य काश्यप
काश्यप
गोत्रो
गोत्र
पन्नो
पन्नो
मम पिता श्री
मम पिता श्री सतीश
अग्निदान निमित्ते मृतदाह निमित्ते मोक्षार्थे
मोक्षार्थे
सर्व पाप
सर्व पाप
क्षयार्थ सर्व
सर्व
पुण्योदय
पुण्योदय
प्राप्ति अर्थे असद्गति विनाशार्थे सद्गति
संगति
प्राप्ति अर्थे श्री विष्णु देवता आशीर्वाद ग्रहण अर्थे श्री विष्णुलोक स्वर्गलोक प्राप्ति अर्थे सर्व पूजन अर्चन मिलितो पचारे द्रव्ये ध्यान वाहनादि अहम सह परिवार मित्र मंडल सहित करिष्ये।
Empty, empty, empty. Take a spoon with you. Now, okay, first of all, you stand up. Stand up first. I'll give you.
Okay, go and stand there. स्प्रिंकल करना है सबसे पहले। इधर ही स्टैंड करो ना, इधर ही रखो ना, इधर ही रहो, स्टैंड देयर। स्प्रिंकल कर लो पानी। ओम गंगे चैम चैव गोदावरी सरस्वती नर्मदे सिंधु कावेरी जल सन्निधि गुरु नमामि गंगे तव पाद पंकजम सुरसर रूपम भक्ति च मुक्ति ददामि भावानुसारेण सदा नरणहम। स्पूनफुल ऑफ वाटर। नमामि गंगे तव पाद पंकजं सुरसरूपं भक्ति च मुक्ति भावानुसारेण सदा नरणहम। देन योगर्ट, लिटिल बिट योगर्ट। पसंतो समुद्र मधुराम शशनम दयान स्नानार्थ प्रतिगीयताम। देन तुलसी लीफ। तुलसी श्री सखी शिवे पापारिणी पुण्यदे नमस्ते नारायणते नमो नारायण प्रिये। देन टीका कुमकुम। कुमकुमम कामना काम पुनतं उग्र प्रीतान परमेश्वर। देन लिटिल राइस। आप भी कीजिए साथ में। लिटिल राइस लेना है, वो प्लेट के अंदर है अलग से। वो उनके जो तिलक किया है उसके ऊपर लगा दीजिए, थोड़ा लगाया, हो गया। तो अभी वो जो बाउल के अंदर है वो हाथ में ले लीजिए तीनों। हाँ, पानी नहीं, वो ग्रेन्स है वो सब, राइस एंड एवरीथिंग। तीनों हाथ में ले लो, तीनों ले लो अंदर से चुटकी चुटकी। अक्षय कुकामन तभक्त ग्रहण परमेश्वर तिला कृष्णा तिला श्वेता तिला गोम संस्था तिला हरति पापानी शरीरे सुखावह। बाउल खाली हो गया, कर दीजिए ना, मेरा मंत्र फिनिश हो गया। अभी हाँ, अभी जो है ना बॉटल्स, एक एक बॉटल ले लीजिए, जरा 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 स्प्रिंकल करना है। अभिलंच गुलालंच वा चंद्रमे च सिंदूर समायुक्तम प्रियतान परमेश्वर हरिद्रा कुंकुमे सिंदूरादिसं सौभाग्यग्रहण परमेश्वर। दैट्स गुड, दैट्स गुड। एक रह गया और बॉटल एक रह रहा है, तो ये एक कोई हिस्सा भी कोई आप एक कर लो, कर लीजिए। हाँ, हरिद्रा कुंकुम सिंदूरादिसं सौभाग्यग्रहण परमेश्वर हो गया। अभी सर्कल एंड कम बैक। या यान मूले सर्व तीर्थानि यद मध्ये सर्व देवता यदग्रे सर्व वेदाश तुलसीताम नमाम्यहम। नमस्ते गाहरपत्याय नमस्ते दक्षिण प्रिय नमाव्याय तुलसीते नमो नमः।
close. Bas, 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 bas. Your turn will be for the Kung Fu. Your turn. Two things. Your turn. One, two. One drop like this. One drop like this. After that, Kung Fu. Yeah. Your turn rise. Your turn. आपके jaw, आपके लिए ये रहेगा. और ये बॉटल रख लो आप दो. आप इधर रखो. आप ये रखो. Okay. Got it?
एक दो
छः. ये इधर से फिर हाँ 7 8 हो गई. उसके बाद में आप एक फूल लगा देना. Okay? We're going to do individually, one by one. Second, ये ना जो direction है, इसको Okay, ready? 1 minute. काश्यप गोत्रो पन्नो. You got to repeat.
sorry
काश्यप
Kashaka
गोत्रो
Gupta
पन्नो
Panno
मम
Mama
पिता श्री
Pitasri
सतीश
Satish
प्रेतस्य
Prishata
दाहार्थ
Daharto
मृत्यांकादि षट्पिंडदान
Shatrapindana
अहम च
Aham Cha
करिष्ये.
Karishya
प्रथम
Pratama
पिंडे
Pinde
उत्क्रांतो
Udvanto
सब
Sab
निमित्तः
Nimitra
एषः
Ishara
पिंड
Pinda
मद
Mada
तपोविष्टताहम. प्रथम पिंडे सुदोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि. पंचामृत स्नानं समर्पयामि. कुंकुमम आग्रयामि. अक्षतान समर्पयामि. जवम समर्पयामि. योर दैट इज योर्स. आपका है वो.
Oh sorry
आपका तिलम समर्पयामि. सौभाग्य द्रव्याणि समर्पयामि. अभिलंच गुलालं चुवा चंद्रमे च सिंदूर समायुक्तं प्रियतान परमेश्वर. हरिद्रा कुंकुमे चैव सिंदूरादि संयुक्तं सौभाग्य द्रव्याण परमेश्वर. Put one flower. Anyone can do it. Okay. Now no mistake. First, second, individual pinned.
We got
The same
Now
thing
we
you
know.
have to do
We
next.
know.
काश्यप
Kashapa
गोत्रो
Gupta
पन्नो मम
Mama
पिताश्री
Pitasri
सतीश
Gupta
प्रेत द्वार देशे
Pratadase
पांथ
Panta
निमित्तः
Nimitra
एषः
Eshara
पिंड
Pinda
मद
Mada
तपोष्टिताम्. द्वितीय पिंडे शुद्धोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि. पंचामृत स्नानं समर्पयामि. कुंकुमम आग्रयामि. अक्षतान समर्पयामि. जवम समर्पयामि. तिलम समर्पयामि. सौभाग्य द्रव्याणि समर्पयामि. अभिलंच गुलालं चुवा चंद्रमे च सिंदूरेण समायुक्तं प्रीतान परमेश्वर. श्रीखंडनं चंदनं दिव्यंगंडार्यं सुम्नोरं विलेपनं सुरेश्रेष्ठं चंदनं प्रतिगीतं. काश्यप गोत्रो पन्नो मम पिता श्री
Satish Gupta
प्रेत
Preta
चत्वरे खेचर निमित्त एष पिंड मद तपो विष्टाम. तृतीय पिंडे शुद्धोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि. पंचामृत स्नानं समर्पयामि. कुंकुमम आग्रयामि. अक्षतान समर्पयामि. जवम समर्पयामि. तिलम समर्पयामि. सौभाग्य द्रव्याणि समर्पयामि. अभिलंच गुलालं चुवा चंद्रमे च सिंदूर समायुक्तं प्रीतान परमेश्वर. हरिद्रा कुंकुमे च सिंदूरादि सौभाग्य द्रव्याण परमेश्वर. काश्यप
Kashaka
गोत्रो
Gupta
पन्नो
Unno
मम
Mama
पिता श्री
Pitasri
सतीश
Gupta
प्रेत
प्रेत
विश्रांतो भूत मित्त एष पिंड मद तपो विष्ताम चतुर्थे पिंडे शुद्धोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि पंचामृत स्नानं समर्पयामि कुंकुमम आग्रयामि अक्षतान् समर्पयामि जवं समर्पयामि तिलं समर्पयामि सौभाग्यद्रव्याणि समर्पयामि अबिलंच गुलालंच वा चंद्रमे च सिंदूर समायुक्तं प्रीतान् परमेश्वर हरिद्रा कुंकुमे सिंदूरादिशं को सौभाग्यद्रव्याण पर काश्यप गोत्रो
वस्त्रो
पन्नो
पन्नो
मम
मम
पिताश्री
पिताश्री सतीश के गुप्ता
प्रेत
प्रेत
सब
सब
हस्ते
हस्ते
साधक
साधक
निमित्त
निमित्त
एष
एष
पिंड
पिंड
मद
मद
तपो
तपो
विष्ताम
विष्ताम
पंचमे पिंडे शुद्धोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि पंचामृत स्नानं समर्पयामि कुंकुमम आग्रयामि अक्षतान् समर्पयामि जवं समर्पयामि तिलं समर्पयामि सौभाग्यद्रव्याणि समर्पयामि अबिलंच गुलालंच वा चंद्रमे च सिंदूर समायुक्तं प्रीतान् परमेश्वर हरिद्राकुं सिंदूरादिशं सौभाग्यद्रव्याण परमेश्वरः काश्यप
काश्यप
गोत्रो
गोत्रो
पन्नो
पन्नो
मम
मम
पिताश्री
पिताश्री सतीश के गुप्ता
प्रेत
प्रेत
प्रेतास्तय
प्रेताश्रय
संचय
संचय
निमित्त
निमित्त
एष
एष
ते
ते
पिंड
पिंड
मद
मद
तपो
तपो
विष्टाम
विष्ताम
षष्ठे पिंडे शुद्धोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि पंचामृत स्नानं समर्पयामि कुंकुमम आग्रयामि अक्षतान् समर्पयामि जवं समर्पयामि तिलं समर्पयामि सौभाग्यद्रव्याणि समर्पयामि अबिलंच गुलालंच वा चंद्रमे च सिंदूर समायुक्तं प्रीतान् परमेश्वर हरिद्रा कुंकुमे सिंदूरादिशं सौभाग्यद्रव्याण परमेश्वरः You got to use rice, you got to use jaw, you got to use till, I mean sesame. Pinch by pinch, put it there, and you got to say Namaha after me. Okay? Om Tirthaya Namaha, Tirthadevaye Namaha, Bhairave Namaha, Janve Namaha, Gangaye Namaha, Godavarye Namaha, नर्मदाय नमः गोमतीये नमः वाराणस्ये नमः मह्ये नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः हरिये नमः विप्राय नमः भागीरथ्यै नमः ऋग्वेदाय नमः यजुर्वेदाय नमः सामवेदाय नमः अथर्ववेदाय नमः नारायणाय नमः मोदाय नमः प्रमोदाय नमः समुखाय नमः दुर्मुखाय नमः अविघ्नाय नमः विघ्नंत्रे नमः ब्रह्मणे नमः विष्णवे नमः रुद्राय नमः प्रजापते नमः देवेभ्यो नमः छंदेभ्यो नमः वेदेभ्यो नमः ऋषिभ्यो नमः पुराणाचार्यभ्यो नमः गंधर्वेभ्यो नमः इतराचार्येभ्यो नमः संसराय नमः सांशिवाय नमः देवेभ्यो नमः अप्सरेभ्यो नमः देवानुकेभ्यो नमः नागरेभ्यो नमः सागरेभ्यो नमः पर्वतेभ्यो नमः सरिदभ्यो नमः मनुष्येभ्यो नमः यक्षेभ्यो नमः रक्षेभ्यो नमः पिशाचेभ्यो नमः सुपर्णेभ्यो नमः पशुभ्यो नमः वनस्पतिभ्यो नमः औषधिभ्यो नमः भूतग्रामसुराय नमः सनकाय नमः सनंदाय नमः सनातनाय नमः कपिलाय नमः आसुर्ये नमः बोड़ाय नमः कव्यलनाय नमः सोमाय नमः यमाय नमः हरियम्ने नमः अग्निवातादि पितृभ्यो नमः सोमपा पितृभ्यो नमः बहर्षदि पितृभ्यो नमः यमाय नमः धर्मराजाय नमः मृत्वे नमः अंतकाय नमः व्यवस्थाय नमः कालाय नमः सर्वभूतक्षाय नमः उदुम्बराय नमः ददनाय नमः नीलाय नमः परमेश्वराय नमः रुकोद्राय नमः चित्राय नमः चित्रगुप्ताय नमः ब्रह्मणे नमः विष्णवे नमः रुद्राय नमः सवित्राय नमः मित्राय नमः गणाय नमः गणपते नमः दुर्गाय नमः सोमाय नमः सूर्याय नमः सोमाय नमः भौमाय नमः बुधाय नमः बृहस्पति नमः शुक्राय नमः शनिचराय नमः राहवे नमः केतवे नमः इंद्राय नमः अग्नये नमः यमाय नमः नैऋत्ये नमः वरुणाय नमः वायवे नमः कुबेराय नमः ईशानाय नमः ब्रह्मणे नमः अनंताय नमः पृथ्वी नमः औषधिभ्यो नमः वाचिभ्यो नमः वाचस्पति नमः महदभ्यो नमः विष्णवे नमः अदभ्यो नमः अपामपते वर्णाय नमो नमः। ओके first. Go that side. Next to the right hand. ओम अनादिनो देव शंख चक्र गदाधर अध्यक्ष पुंडरीकाक्ष प्रेत मोक्ष पदोद्भव. Next to the head, this side, yeah. अत्सिपु संकाशं पीत्वा समचत येन मश्यन्ति गोविंदम तेषा विद्यते भयम्. लेफ्ट साइड. कृष्ण कृष्ण बालम तम गतिनाम गतिर्व संसार सिद्ध पुरुषोत्तम नारायण सुरश्रेष्ठ लक्ष्मीकांत ब्रह्मनाथ प्रेत मोक्ष पदोद्भव. हिरण्य गर्भ पुरुष व्यक्त व्यक्त रूपेण अश्य प्रेत तस्य मोक्षार्थविद सुप्रीतो भव सर्वदा. अनादिनो देव शंख चक्र गदाधर अध्यक्ष पुंडरीकाक्ष प्रेत मोक्ष पदोद्भव. अत्सिपु संकाशं पीत्वा नमस्यन्ति गोविंदम तेषा विद्यते भयम्. खाली कर दो. अत्राद तिथो काश्यप गोत्रो पन्नो मम पिताश्री अग्निदा निमित्ते अग्निदाह निमित्ते सर्व पाप क्षयार्थ सर्व पुण्योदय प्राप्ति अर्थे मोक्षार्थे पंच श्रीफल समर्पयामि. प्रथम श्रीफले शुद्धोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि. पंचामृत स्नानं समर्पयामि. कुंकुमम् आग्रयामि. अक्षतान् समर्पयामि. जवं समर्पयामि. तिलं समर्पयामि. सौभाग्य द्रव्याणि समर्पयामि. अभिलंच गुलालंच चंद्रमे च सिंदूर समयुक्तं प्रीतान् परमेश्वर हरिद्रकं सिंदूरादिशं सौभाग्य द्रव्याणां परमेश्वर. द्वितीय श्रीफले शुद्धोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि. पंचामृत स्नानं समर्पयामि. कुंकुमम् आग्रयामि. अक्षतान् समर्पयामि. जवं समर्पयामि. तिलं समर्पयामि. सौभाग्य द्रव्याणि समर्पयामि. अभिलंच गुलालंच चंद्रमे च सिंदूर समयुक्तं प्रीतान् परमेश्वर हरिद्रा कुंकुम सिंदूरादिशं सौभाग्य. तृतीय श्रीफले शुद्धोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि. पंचामृत स्नानं समर्पयामि. कुंकुमम् आग्रयामि. अक्षतान् समर्पयामि. जवं समर्पयामि. तिलं समर्पयामि. सौभाग्य द्रव्याणि समर्पयामि. अभिलंच गुलालंच चंद्रमे च सिंदूर समयुक्तं प्रीतान् परमेश्वर हरिद्रा कुंकुमे च सिंदूरादि सौभाग्य द्रव्याणि परमेश्वर. चतुर्थे श्रीफले शुद्धोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि. पंचामृत स्नानं समर्पयामि. कुंकुमम् आग्रयामि. अक्षतान् समर्पयामि. जवं समर्पयामि. तिलं समर्पयामि. सौभाग्य द्रव्याणि समर्पयामि. अभिलंच गुलालंच चंद्रमे च सिंदूर समयुक्तं प्रीतान् परमेश्वर हरिद्रा कुंकुमे सिंदूरादिशं सौभाग्य द्रव्याणि परमेश्वर. पंचमे श्रीफले शुद्धोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि. पंचामृत स्नानं समर्पयामि. कुंकुमम् आग्रयामि. अक्षतान् समर्पयामि जवं समर्पयामि तिलं समर्पयामि सौभाग्यद्रव्याणि समर्पयामि अबिलञ्च गुलालञ्च चूवाचन्द्रमेण च सिन्दूरसमयुक्तं प्रीतान् परमेश हरिद्रा कुङ्कुमेन सिन्दूरादि समं सौभाग्यद्रव्यग्रहण परमेश्वर. अनानिघ्नो देव शंख चक्र गदाधर अध्यक्ष पुंडरीकाक्ष प्रीत मोक्षो पदोद्भवः. No, right hand next to the right head. अत्सिपु संकाशं पीतवासं नमस्यन्ति तेज विश्य नमस्यन्ति गोविंदम तेषा विद्यते भयम्. नेक्स्ट. कृष्ण कृष्णवालम गतिनां गतिरु संसार प्रसिद्ध पुरुषोत्तमः नारायण सुरश्रेष्ठ लक्ष्मीकांत अनिंत्रपनाथ प्रेत मोक्षपद. नो नो नारायण सुरश्रेष्ठ लक्ष्मीकांत वरप्रद अनेन तर्पणाथ प्रेत मोक्षपदोद्भवः. अत्सिपु संकाश पीतवान् नमस्यन्ति तेषा विद्यते भयम्. Everybody, Jai Shri Krishna. We are here to say final goodbye to Satish Gupta, and it is our duty to pray God to give him moksha, and we can do nothing but we can pray for him. So by gathering here, we are going to repeat 108 names of Lord Vishnu, and everybody will repeat Namaha after me. I will say the name and you repeat Namaha after me. सतीश गुप्ता जो हमारे बीच है नहीं, भगवान के पास पहुँचे हैं, तो भगवान जी से हम प्रार्थना करेंगे कि हे प्रभु, उनकी आत्मा जो है उनका मोक्ष कर देना, और इसके लिए हम प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं. और हमारी फर्ज में ये आता है कि हम 108 नाम, एक माला का जो पुण्य है वो हम उनकी आत्मा को दे रहे हैं, और प्रभु से प्रार्थना करेंगे कि हे प्रभु, उनका मोक्ष कर देना. सो एवरीबडी यू गॉट टू रिपीट नमः आफ्टर मी. ओम विस्मे नमः, ओम विष्णवे नमः, ओम वस्काराय नमः, ओम भूत भव्य भव प्रभवे नमः, ओम भूतकृते नमः, ओम भूतभृते नमः, ओम भावाय नमः, ओम भूतात्मने नमः, ओम भूतभावनाय नमः, ओम भूतात्मने नमः, ओम परमात्मने नमः, ओम मुक्तांगना परमागते नमः, अव्याय नमः, पुरुषाय नमः, साक्षिणे नमः, क्षेत्रज्ञाय नमः, अक्षराय नमः, योगाय नमः, योगविंदा नेत्रे नमः, प्रधान पुरुषेश्वराय नमः, नारसिंहपुषे नमः, श्रीमते नमः, केशवाय नमः, पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः, सर्वाय नमः, शर्वाय नमः, शिवाय नमः, स्थाणवे नमः, भूताद्ये नमः, निद्याव्याय नमः, संभवाय नमः, भावनाय नमः, भत्रे नमः, प्रभवाय नमः, प्रभवे नमः. ईश्वराय नमः, स्वयंभवे नमः, शंभवे नमः, आदित्याय नमः, पुष्राक्षाय नमः, महासनाय नमः, अनानिदाय नमः, दात्रे नमः, विधात्रे नमः, धातृतमाय नमः, अप्रमेयाय नमः, ऋषिकेशाय नमः, पद्मनाभाय नमः, अमरप्रभे नमः, विष्कणे नमः, मनवे नमः, तष्टे नमः, सविष्टाय नमः, स्थिवध्रुवाय नमः, अग्रयाय नमः, शाश्वताय नमः, कृष्णाय नमः, लोहिताक्षाय नमः, प्रज्ञाय नमः, प्रभुताय नमः, त्रिगाम्ने नमः, पवित्राय नमः, मंगलाय परस्मे नमः, ईशानाय नमः, प्राणदाय नमः, प्राणाय नमः, ज्येष्ठाय नमः, श्रेष्ठाय नमः, प्रजापते नमः, हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः, भूगर्भाय नमः, माधवाय नमः, मधुसूदनाय नमः, ईश्वराय नमः, विक्रमणे नमः, धन्विने नमः, मेघाविने नमः, विक्रमाय नमः, क्रमाय नमः, अनुतमाय नमः, दुरादर्शाय नमः, कृतघ्नाय नमः, कृतये नमः, आत्मत्ते नमः, सुरेशाय नमः, शरणाय नमः, शर्मणे नमः, विजरेत्से नमः, प्रजाभवाय नमः, अहंद्राय नमः, संवत्सरे नमः, संवत्सराय नमः, व्यालाय नमः, प्रत्याय नमः, सर्वदर्शनाय नमः, अजाय नमः, सर्वेश्वराय नमः, सिद्धाय नमः, सिद्धये नमः, सर्वाद्ये नमः, अच्युताय नमः, वृषकपये नमः, अमयात्मने नमः, सर्वयोगी निसृताय नमः, वस्वे नमः, वसुमनसे नमः, सत्याय नमः, समात्मने नमः, ओम संमिताय नमो नमः। औषधे चिन्तयेत विष्णु भोजने च जनार्दनं सैने पद्मनाभं च विवाहे च प्रजापतिं युद्धे चक्रधरं देवं प्रवासे च त्रिविक्रमं तनुत्यागे श्रीधर प्रिय संगमे दुस्वप्ने स्मर गोविंदम संकटे मधुसूदनम कानने नारसिंह च पावके जलसायनम जलमध्ये वराहं च पर्वते रघुनंदम गमने वामन चैव सर्वकार्येषु माधवं षोडश ऐतानि नामानि प्रातरुठाय पठेत सर्वपापिनर्मुक्ते विष्णुलोकमहीयते नमो समन्ताय सहस्रमूर्ते सहस्रपादा शिश्रोर्बाहे सहस्रनाम्ने पुरुषाय शाश्वते सहस्रकोटि युगधारिणे नमः श्रीकृष्णाय गोविंदाय हरे प्रणतमने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः जले विष्णु स्थले विष्णु विष्णु पर्वतमस्तके ज्वालामालकुले विष्णु विष्णु सर्वतोमुखे आकाशं पतितं तयं यथा गच्छति सागर सर्वदेव नमस्कारं केशवं प्रति गच्छति। ओम श्री तुलसी श्री सखी शिवे पापहारिणी पुण्यदे नमस्ते नारायणुते नमो नारायण प्रिय देवत्वं निर्वीता पुरम् अर्चिता असि मुनीश्वरः नमो नमस्ते तुलसी पापं हर हरिप्रिये यन्मूले सर्वतीर्थानि यन्मध्ये सर्वदेवता यदग्रे सर्ववेदाश्च तुलसीतां नमाम्यहम् नमस्ते गाहरपत्याय नमस्ते दक्षिणाप्रिये नमः आव्याय तुलस्यै ते नमो नमः तुकार छन्त हन्ति लकारं लघूनां तथा सीकारं सर्वसौख्यानां सीकारं ते कुरु सदा तुलसी श्री सिखे शिवे पावृणि पुण्यदे नमस्ते नारद नमो नारायण प्रिये नवनीत समुत्पन्नं सर्वशा जीवनं परं घृततुभ्य प्रदस्यामि स्नानार्थ प्रतिगृहसां वनस्पति रसोर्गन्धाद्य गुण्डुत अग्रे सरधूपोऽयं प्रतिगृह्यताम् तुलसी हेम रूपं च रत्नरूपं मंजरीं भवमोक्षं प्रदातुभ्यं समर्पयामि हरिप्रियाम् काश्यप गोत्रो पन्नो मम पिता श्री सतीश गुप्ता अग्निदान निमित्ते मृतदा निमित्ते घृत एवं तुलसी काष्ठ समर्पयामि ओम अनादिनो देव शंख चक्र गदाधर अध्यक्ष पुंडरीकाक्ष प्रेत मोक्ष पदोद्व असीपु शंकाशं पीतवासन नमस्यन्ति सा विद्यते वयम् कृष्ण कृष्ण बालम कदम तम गतिनां गति संसार प्रसिद्ध पुरुषोत्तमः नारायण सुर श्रेष्ठ लक्ष्मीकांत वरप्र अनिंत प्रणात प्रेत मोक्ष पदोद्व हिरण्यगर पुरुषवक्त व्यक्त रूपेण अश्य प्रेतस्य मोक्षापितो भव सर्वदा अनादिनो देव शंख चक्र गदाधर अध्यक्ष पुंडरीका प्रेत मोक्ष पदोद्भव असीपु संकाशम पीतवास समस्तम ये नमस्यन्ति गोविंदम तेषा विद्यते भयम् कृष्ण कृष्ण तम गतिनां गतिर्भवः संसाराग्राम प्रसिद्ध पुरुषोत्तम नारायण सुरश्रेष्ठ लक्ष्मी कांतवर वृद अनिंद्रप्रनाथ प्रेत मोक्षोपदोद्भवः नारायण सुरश्रेष्ठ लक्ष्मी कांतवर अनिंद्रप्रनाथ प्रेत मोक्षोपदोद्भवः हिरण्यगर्भ परुषवक्त व्यक्त रूपेण अश्य प्रेत तस्य मोक्षार्थ सुप्रीतो भव सर्वदा अनादिनो देव शंख चक्र गदाधर अध्यक्ष पुंडरीका प्रेत मोक्ष पदोद्भवः असीपु संकाशं पीतवाद नमस्यन्ति ते सा विद्यते वयम् कृष्ण कृष्णतम गतिनां गति संसार प्रसिद्ध पुरुषोत्तम नारायण सुर लक्ष्मीकांत वर्ण अनितरनाथ पदोद्भवः कृतेन मम संकल्प अनुसारेण काश्यप गोत्रो पन्नो मम पिताश्री अग्निदा निमित्ते मृतदा निमित्ते मोक्षार्थे सर्व पूजन अर्चन परिपूर्णम अस्तु परिपूर्णम श्री विष्णु देवता प्रियतां नमः शांताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभांगं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगनिर्धानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णु भव सर्वलोकैकनाथं ओम श्री विष्णुवे नमो नमः.
Thank you. Namaste, everybody. I've known Satish for over 6 decades. I came to Pittsburgh in 1973. And you've heard of the word karma, which is deeds. And I want to tell you all, I can't cover, we have speakers coming, so I'm going to be very brief. Satish and I we had a very deep friendship and very expansive friendship. And my interest is public health, and his was dedication to community and social well-being. And we connected on all fronts. We spent so much time together at Temple, where he promoted, he was actually, when he was the treasurer, he created a senior citizen group, which we met regularly. And in the process of creating that senior citizen group, sorry, I should put it there. And the senior citizen group, by the way, led to a number of different things, including, he said, we need to create a seva, a self-help group that will help the senior citizens out in the community who will need help, because some of them may not be able to, they don't have cars or won't be able to go to their medical appointment. So let's figure out and create a group of people who live in different parts of the city and get a roster and have them be available if somebody out in the community needs our help. That's what he did. And we traveled together to quite a few places. And one of the trips we made was to a place called Rishikesh, which is on the banks of the Ganges. And the mission there was, station mission, to create a clean, green, and serene Ganges. In other words, we needed to do something about water pollution, and also something about recycling. So spent money buying these recycling cans for all the places near Rishikesh. Then, Satish said, we need to do something about these kids, young ones who, especially orphans and children from poor families who don't have access to good education. So in Rishikesh, in the ashram there, the Nikuntan ashram helped fund schools for these kids. And then, by the way, he said, what do they do with all that kitchen waste? What do they do with it? Well, of course it goes into the Ganges, or they throw it away. He said, well, we need to have them recycle that. So create what you call, take that kitchen waste, dig up the earth where it is, and put it in it, create mulch, create fertilizer. Compost. And we started, and he was the instrument behind creating that in a place near in Rishikesh. And I have so many other stories to tell, but I have individuals here who can highlight a number of his other attributes. Good deeds begets good deeds. And his karma, as they say, was just good, was deeds. Good deeds lead to good deeds. And he will, his soul, may it rest in peace, blessed, and he'll find moksha without any work. So I am going to, he has lots of friends here, and I see, and I'm going to invite, starting with one of his friends going back to the days when they used to work together, Satish Vadavan. Oh, okay.
See, like Ravi said, I've known Satish for a long time. I met him first time in 1961. That's over 60 years. I was just thinking, we spent 65 years together. There's so much we've done together. If I talk about everything, we'll be here until tomorrow. But that's where I met Satish first time. He came to Bombay to go to the University of Chemical Technology in Bombay University. We were together for about 6 years there, and then we parted company. I came over here, and he took a job or something, until I found out one day that he was back in New York. So we talked about it, and he came to Pittsburgh, and he's been in Pittsburgh since then. So he has spent a lot of time in Pittsburgh. We've done a lot of things together. We worked together. We traveled together. All these countries of cities where nobody else would go, we would go. As Ravi says, Satish has been kind of person who always wanted to help other people. He not only tried to help anybody who needed his help in Pittsburgh and USA, but well beyond that. I remember him trying to help some people back in where he came from, sending them money, sending them help as much as he could. We had a lot of good time, hard times when we were studying. The same thing over here. I learned a lot from him. Maybe I gave him a few pointers, but I learned a lot from him. But I was thinking about one of the things which I always wanted to do, I could not learn on a lighter side. Option trading. I tried to learn, I couldn't learn. he was the one who taught me because he had patience. He worked with me for days together. And I found out it's not that only he was doing, but he was very good at it. I could never come close to his experience, his success in that, but he did. Even when he was here after he retired, we talked a lot. We met, go to restaurants. It used to be our normal thing. He took me to some of the restaurant where he lived in North Park, which I knew nothing. And unfortunately, that's where he had his stroke. After going through a lot of hard time, finally he decided to go and live close to his sisters. He was so lucky to have these two girls as his daughters. The way they took care of him, and so did his brother. You had to be really lucky to have people taking care of you. We used to, even when he was in the assisted living, we talked 2-3 times a week. Anytime I couldn't talk, I complained to Shinu, Sonali. And then they would tell him, our talk will start again. He was one of the most active person. You can see from his picture where he has been, what he's been doing. He never hesitated to jump into any action. I really don't know because I miss him very much. We always talked about old times in Bombay, in China, where we worked together. But he's gone. God will take care of him. All I can say is, goodbye, my brotherly friend. He was like a brother to me. And I don't think I will ever forget it. I'm sorry.
इंदर साहब आइए। I never thought we'll be in this state like that to celebrate something, but I'm not politician or I don't know about his background like that, but from family side, that's what I will be talking about. He was the major force in our life, if he were not, he is one who made arrangement for us to come to USA. I never wanted to come to USA because I was working good job in India, and that's what, so people were coming to India. So that's what I thought I will help, but he was the great force for us, and we are thankful to you, everybody, and him for taking care of us. He was brother-in-law, so that's what we are. So we appreciate everybody's help, and that's what he encouraged us to meet everybody and like that, but not in this the way we are today. So let's all wish him further to settle in the hands of God. Huh? Yeah. So Ashok and Kamini, brothers and sisters, and that's what. So whenever we were in, not only that, my parents and their parents, they were very close friends. That's what I was introduced to them. So once we were visiting them, so that's what we related. But in India, when he was in Delhi with the family, I was in Bhopal. So we never had opportunity to meet like that. So only when he came to USA, that's what he wanted us to come here. So that's what we arranged to make whatever we could do for the families, and that's what we were helping as best as we could. But I will continue with that, but it is sad at this moment when we are missing. But I have not seen anybody taking care. He will help anybody whenever anybody needed. And not only that, he arranged for meeting everybody and arranging jobs for, or like that, everything he could do for our family. So we are very grateful, and that's what, and grateful to all the friends. Today we are seeing it. Now I'll give to Ashok to talk something.
I don't know what to say. My brother is really like my father, okay? He did so much to us. Only I want to say, we miss you, Papa. We miss you. We love you. We love you.
You know, about 2.5 weeks ago, Satish called us. I was just sitting and got a call, and I said, Satish just calling. So we talked about different things, then he asked me, how's the stock market doing? How are the stocks doing? I said, oh my goodness. He had a deep sense of humor. And sometimes very delicate, and sometimes not so delicate. However, always making people laugh. I mean, with my trip to India, I didn't grow up in India, so for me India is like a foreign country. I grew up in a place called Uganda, East Africa. And so he would take me all around the place and thought, this is this, this is this. Oh, this is where the Beatles lived when they first came to India. I said, oh, they came to India, I don't know. So I would, we would like to open up, and anybody who would like to come and say a few words, please.
Thank you all all for coming. I'm Satish Gupta's nephew, his sister's son, Arun, and this is my youngest daughter, Sanya. So most of you have been with him and our family for many different phases of his life, from his oldest friends to his youngest and newest.
Am I old?
I wasn't referring to you, Uncle, no. They're in the way back, they're really old. But, you know, so Satish Mamaji is like a patriarch of our family. He is the patriarch of our family on my mom's side. And, you know, like Ashok Mamaji said, that he treated everyone with great respect, and he got that in return. He treated his family like gold, but his friends even better. And, you know, the last couple years of his life, he made the best of it that he could, and we were a major part of that. In fact, on Sundays, he would come over to our house for dinner almost every Sunday, so I'd have a little car ride from his assisted living there and back, and we'd chit-chat and talk about everything, including options and stocks. And he told me your portfolio was doing okay. So Sanya was a major part of that, and she got to know him really well the last couple of years, and Rupa, my wife, would cook for him, and he was looking forward to having his Indian fix. Sometimes he would say a little too spicy, but most of the time he'd eat it like a good boy. And, you know, I'm really going to miss him on those Sundays and pretty much every other day. You know, he was like a Ferrari his whole life. I don't know where he got the energy. He was just 100 miles per hour all the time, go, 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 ready to go, ready to go. And the last couple of years, he slowed down a little bit, but he was still the fastest man in that assisted living center, and he did a lot. They made him ambassador for a reason. Me and him had some good times in the car rides, and, you know, we'll miss him. We love him.
Good. Say. Just say you love him. Go ahead. No? Okay. That's okay. All right.
It's okay. Sanya had a little speech prepared. She just wanted to say that she loved him very much, and she will miss him because she got to play, you know, with him on Sundays. She got to play a little bit of music for him on the piano, which was nice. She's a good pianist, but violin was kind of painful for him, so he didn't request that too much. We love you, Mamaji. We know you'll find a good place. And thank you for everything. Thank you for bringing us. By the way, my dad said he brought us to the United States. I just want to make sure you all know that was legally, in case we have ice in the back.
Just a minute. So she doesn't have to say a word. Her smile says everything.
Sunny.
Please.
My cousin Sunny.
Yeah.
Satish uncle was my chachaji, my dad's cousin, more than brother to him actually. My dad couldn't come here, he's in Tampa, but he met him, I think, 6 weeks back in his assisted living when he went to meet him. Sharing a couple of stories actually how they got the first tattoo when it was for 20 Indian paisa, which is, I don't know how to calculate that in dollars, but he was sharing his stories actually, and then what charity and deeds he was doing back home, sending money to India. I won't be adding anything new, whatever has been said. But inspired me most about him was his faith that he lived throughout his life. He was born in a Hindu family. He was a devotee of Lord Krishna. And he used to say, when I met him last time in Pittsburgh and then in one of the weddings, we were discussing about Holy Gita. And he mentioned how we are taking those lessons of Gita. We heard a lot of mantras here, maybe we didn't understand it all. But in a nutshell, if I want to, Panditji will be able to support that. Hindu mythology says that our body is made up of 5 elements: earth, water, air, ether, and fire. We worship them all here. There's a 6th element which is consciousness, right? Conscious spirit. The goal of this body, getting this human body, is for this soul, which is everlasting. That's what Lord Krishna said to Arjuna. That Arjuna, you are never born, you will never die. Those who pray in the name of the God shall live forever, will never die. And that's what has happened here. Ram Kabira ek bhai hai, koi na sake pehchani. Jal mein kumbh hai, kumbh mein jal hai, bhitar bahar pani. Which translates to, we all are part of the super soul, the God formless, Nankar, Allah, God, Vaheguru, whatever we call it. The soul which comes and goes into this formless Nankar, God, it doesn't die. It's never born. It just takes a part of the journey, the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, ether, air. And once this soul leaves this body, rest is remains, and that's why we call it as a remain, right? Now, we return whatever we got, and we say that, right? जिसकी वस्तु उसकी समझे, कम की तकरारदाई, कहीं अवतार पहलापन है, तन मन धन नंकारदाई, which translates to my body, my mind, material possessions belongs to this God. And that was the faith he lived in, and that's what inspired me also. That I'll live forever, I won't die. He has not gone anywhere. He's still here and he'll be watching over us all. He has been doing the charity, he was doing those deeds. Let's carry forward his legacy which he has lived throughout his life, so that he will be proud of us. That yes, I made and I contributed towards a better mankind, to better humanity. And we love you, Sri Shankar. We love you. You are and you will always be in our memories. And thank you so much for giving him so much of respect, so much of love. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of our life. Thank you. Thank you, Chi. Thank you.
So I'm Anoop, Arun's brother and Kamni's elder son. For everyone, I wasn't sure if I was going to say anything or not, because then when Chinu asked me, I was like, I'm not sure. But I think just hearing everything from uncles and all the support and everyone that's traveled out here, and this is the opportunity to say something, I didn't want to walk away without not saying anything, and I see Charu and Joe as well. So I think, obviously, it's not the circumstances we want to be together, but it's whatever the reality is. But there's only like 3 things I, really want to call out that I remember from Mamaji that kind of encapsulates everything. One is, I think Arun mentioned it, uncles mentioned it, but it's just really, he's just like a pillar for us, right? So whether it's our family, whether it's our Pittsburgh community, whether it's the temple, we've seen him. He used to make us do everything when we were growing up. I'm sure you remember. I am not a good dancer, right? We're not a dancer, but he didn't give us that choice. He's like, it's the Monday, there's an international festival, everybody in my family's gonna do it. And it's because if we don't do it, who's gonna do it? So, you kind of go through that, but he's also, primarily responsible for us, to bring us over, to bring his sister, his brother, others, his friends. But when we lived with him and throughout the years, it's not just about the family, right? His friends are equally as important to him as his family. And I don't think he looked at any of you as friends. It was all his brothers and sisters. And I think what's really important from just observing him, as my dad said also, is he would help complete strangers. He would bring people in that his wife didn't know, and they would be living with them, like completely off the stranger. It's a little bit of, I don't know if we would do this in this day and age, but he didn't care, because he's like, that person needed help. He's coming in my house. I have the money, I have the food, and I have a home. And sometimes he didn't even ask, right? And Mamiji also was very great in that sense to accommodate and do everything that she did. Other thing I think is important to remember, I think, is just all the pictures you can see. But anytime we see him, even last couple of years of his age, he's like the most adventurous person and most spirited person I've ever seen. It doesn't matter like what's going on, he's just like, go, go, go. We're like, Maji, do you want to just, come over, I'll hang out, play some cards? He's like, no, take me to the mall, give me some Chinese food. I was like, okay, you really want that? You're cooking the rupal or ruju made, that was spicy, but the cooking at the Chinese food and Mexican food and wherever else, he was all about that. So I don't think even to the last time or anything, he's adventurous. I mean, he was doing this, everyone I think here knows, shark tanks, hang gliding. This was like the last 2-3 years. And so it doesn't really matter. He's adventurous and everything else. And the last thing I kind of mentioned too is he's just all about food, right? That's what I remember. Anytime we saw him, Pittsburgh, here, wherever, okay, let's go to a restaurant, but we're not going to an Indian restaurant. And that's what we liked it, right? Because just try something different, eat something different. We get Indian food. Yes, that's our bond, but he always wanted to go to a different restaurant, pick something, and we enjoyed that. So food brings us all together a lot, too. And then I know my mom and Mama G, we're all distraught. But I would just say, I just offer to say that if just think about all the things, like the body may be gone, but the spirit and the memories are not. So please hold on to those things. We all do, because at the end of the day, body's just in front of you, but the spirit and the memories are in your mind, and they stay with you forever. With that, just thank you, everyone.
I remember when we were in Rishikesh, it was International Yoga Fest. And when that Yoga Fest was over, so we had all the participants that came from something like 70, 80 countries from all over the world for this Yoga Fest got together for dinner. After dinner, there was dance. And so Satish said, I wasn't going to dance. I was going to sit and watch other people dance. Satish said, what are you doing? Let's get up and dance. So we danced away. I danced for about half an hour, and I'm not, I don't know how to dance. But, move your feet here and there, and, do a little bhangra. But, that's the kind of joy he brought to all the people he met. And he would go, so at the end of the dinner was going on, he said, Ravi, let's go meet these people who's sitting across on the other side. I said, okay. So we met this lady from New York who was there not simply for the yoga, but also she was the follower. She was a Hindu. And then another lady from Switzerland who was living in Australia, and with whom we kept in touch for quite a while. And then, unfortunately, we lost touch with them. But we made friends with them both. Another lady from South Africa. And these are the people who have come to Rishikesh for the Yoga Fest, to learn yoga, to do yoga, and and then, by the way, Swami Chitanand was so nice and appreciative of what he has done. We had the arti on the bank of the Ganges. I don't know if you have ever seen that arti on the bank of the Ganges. It is an amazing sight. With Lord Krishna, there's a Shiva, huge, and then at the, you sit at the foot, and there is and Sadhvi, Bhagavati was there too, doing the puja. Just an amazing sight. Please, anybody? Please.
Hello, everyone. I'm speaking on behalf of my father, B.J. Parekh. Even though they were the closest of friends, my dad's personality is the opposite of Satish uncle, who's outspoken and loves to speak in front of crowds. So I'm going to say these words on behalf of my dad who wrote this. Satish wasn't just a friend. He was a brother, a mentor, a constant presence in my life and in the lives of so many of us here today. If our culture had a godfather, Satish would have been that figure, a guiding force, always there to offer support, wisdom, and love. I first met Satish in 1970 when we were interviewing for the same company in Baroda. Satish was visiting and happened to see an ad for a job in Baroda that was offering reimbursement for travel expenses. He decided to go to the interview, not because he wanted the job, but because he wanted to get reimbursed for his airfare. However, it turned out that the company told him they wouldn't reimburse him unless he took the job. So he decided to take the job, and little did we know that a simple decision of him accepting that job would lead to a lifelong friendship together. At that time, we were bachelors and became inseparable, living close by, sharing countless memories. During the early years, when I was secretly dating my wife, Rama, it was Satish's house where we would meet in secrecy. And in a funny twist of fate, Satish, who shares the same birthday with my wife, Rama, met his own Rama. And together, the four of us formed an unbreakable bond. We both found our own Ramas, but we were inseparable. Then our families group and his family became our family, and we did everything together. He came to the United States, and not long after, I followed him to the United States. While I was living in New Jersey, when he was in Pittsburgh, we spent our summers together, whether it was enjoying the beaches, the amusement parks, traveling together, or spending lazy days by his pool in his townhouse. He was always watching out for me, helping me find each of my jobs at all of the companies that he was working at. He always remained proud of his heritage and culture. I remember one time in a meeting with a client, the client asked him, "Can I call you Sam instead of Satish?" Without missing a beat, Satish responded, "Can I call you stupid instead of Steven?" His pride and his identity was unwavering, and he never compromised who he was for anyone. What always stood out about Satish was his generosity and his loyalty to his family and friends. We would spend our weekends together at picnics or dinner parties, and while the ladies were chit-chatting about recipes, Satish was teaching us the intricacies of the stock market. He was a teacher, a counselor, and a friend in every sense of the word. Satish was always there when you needed him, whether it was for a laugh, a shoulder to lean on, or a guiding word of advice. He touched each one of our lives deeply, and his absence leaves a void that is impossible to fill. But as we gather to say goodbye today, I find comfort in knowing that Satish is at peace and he has been reunited with his Rama on this Valentine's Day. We will miss him dearly, but his legacy will live on in each one of us through his wisdom, his humor, and his unwavering love for those lucky enough to call him a friend. Rest in peace, Satish. You will always have a special place in our hearts. We'll miss you.
You know, I should say there are people on Zoom also. So please welcome everybody on Zoom. Thank you for joining. Especially, I know there's a big crowd from Pittsburgh who's joined us on Zoom. Thank you for joining us on Zoom.
Before I go, does anyone else want to say something? I want to give everybody in this room the floor. All right. Let's do this.
Thank you.
Hello. I'm losing my voice right now, don't mind it. I'm Jaya. I'm Shinu's daughter, and I was his granddaughter. I wasn't planning on coming to speak today, but I just felt like, why not? I heard everyone saying everything that was on their mind, and I would rather to just say it than not say it, right? That's what he would have done. He would have just taken every opportunity to share everything he could with everyone else. I want to say that even though it wasn't under like ideal circumstances, I was so grateful that he could move down closer to us the past few years, because it gave me the chance to know him so much better than I would have if he had stayed in Pittsburgh. I think something that I realized from a very young age whenever I would visit him is he had this sureness about himself, and he just grew with it. He was very sure of who he was and what his purpose was and what was important in the world, which was family and how you treat others. And I think, as you've heard here today, that's something that everybody around him who really got to get to know him learned from him and is able to remember in his legacy is just family, people who you love, people who you hold close to you. That's what he taught me, and that's what I'm going to remember as I move forward in my life. What's important to me is my family and the people that I love. And like so many people have said, he treated so many people like family. He treated everybody with love and respect, and that's something we should all remember when we leave here today.
For anyone who doesn't know me, which I'm not really quite sure, there possibly could be one person in this room who doesn't know me. But my name is Shinu Lawrence Gupta. I'm the eldest of this guy right here. I have a lot of nicknames for him, so you might hear them spilling out during the speech. But for those of you who know me, all of this is going to sound pretty obvious. Ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between and everything that transcends those two words knows that this is the tree and this is the apple. And although my siblings are apples too, they were, for those of you who know both of our parents, yeah, they're team mom, I was team dad, it was a thing. Don't worry. I actually did this with my own family, so I'll just throw it out there because I kind of feel like that, and I did this a little. Everyone here knows or doesn't know my wife, Katie, and Katie and I, of course, have Jaya. And our house rules are really simple. Jaya gets half a vote. She gets to be a part of every decision we make, important or unimportant, from as soon as she could talk to us. We included her in the decisions that the three of us made, and she got half a vote. That's important. Katie gets a vote. She's an adult. She's a parent. She gets to be heard. She gets to be seen. She helps pay the bills. But I get 1.5 votes. Because we know who runs the roost. So if the two of them ever tag teamed, it was a tie. And we all knew who the tiebreaker was. It was me. Dad and Mom were special. I don't have to repeat a lot of the stories you've heard. Mom and Dad's house, their home, whether it was the apartment in Oakland. I got to live with them for, I guess, the first year or two of my life. There's some pictures. I don't remember them, but I imagine, some of you do in the crowd, hum sub and all, of going to Shenley Park and going to Moon Township and living as a community. We had a really, really amazing childhood because we had a community that needed each other, and so every single weekend we got together. Every single weekend without fail. I was a teenager and I was like, come on, can I hang out with my friends? No. You come and you hang out with your family and you hang out with your community every single weekend, and I cherish that, and we all cherish that, and we all strive to try to keep that, even though all of us are a little bit more dispersed. But Dad and Mom's little 1-bedroom apartment turned into a 2-bedroom condo at 412. Everybody knows 412. And one of the stories you guys have heard all along is how Mom and Dad would just bring in everybody, right? Chacha came first. Shika was about 2. They lived with us until they got situated and got their own spot close by. Eventually, Bua and her family came. By then, we were at 8239. We like our numbers, by the way. And that was a 4-bedroom house. We'll get to that house a little bit because that also was a special place for us. But when Anoop and Arun came, they were 9 and 11, and I'm 10, so sandwiched in between them. It was pretty wild being a preteen and having this whole family move in with us. And we kind of heard about who they were. Like, I knew this is my Bua and this is my cousins, but like they're kind of strangers to us too. They're in India, and all of a sudden, Anshu was in my room, and they were all in one room. I was like, Mom, Dad, why are all 4 of them in one room? Well, that's how we do it in India. Eventually, I will learn, because I did it once at Penn State, I will learn that the answer to how many Indians can you put in a Toyota Camry, because I don't drink, and so when I went to Penn State, and there's some Penn Staters in here with me, I would always drive everybody home. And the answer to that question, Dad, because of course you bought me that Toyota Camry, was 13. I put 13 Indians in the Toyota Camry, which kind of sucked for the other 12 because I'm like the littlest one and I had to drive. There were some boys in the trunk. We won't talk about that. But I tell you the stories a little bit about me because the stories are actually just an expansion of him. When we were at 412, Chacha alluded to this story and someone else alluded to the story, so I'm going to tell the story. Strangers, right? Our grandfather in India did the same thing. He would like go to the bus station or go to the train station on a Friday night and just grab whoever didn't have somewhere to sleep and just bring them home. And sometimes they stayed a night or two, and sometimes they stayed a week or two. And one time Chacha and Dad told me this story about this family that took advantage, and they just kept staying and staying and staying, and they took the boys' rooms. So eventually the boys thought, hey, if we play enough practical jokes, maybe this family will leave. So they just started like messing with this family, trying to get them to go. I imagine it worked because they don't live there anymore. But Grandpa did this. This is Dad's dad. Dad and Mom did too. There was a family. For those of you in Pittsburgh, you know them. They are the Guptas. We weren't related to them. We had no idea who they were. It was an uncle and an auntie and 3 kids. The youngest was a year older than me. There were 2 boys, a couple years older than her. And they immigrated from India and landed in Texas, and they were in Texas, and Uncle got a job in Pittsburgh. And so for you kids in the room, there was this thing, it was called the White Pages. This was before the internet. You actually had to like get your hands on a book and look up people's names. So somehow this uncle got a hold of the Pittsburgh White Pages, and his last name was Gupta, so he opened up the Guptas, and there was A. Gupta. That's my Chacha Ashok. So Ashok uncle by that time was living in a 1-bedroom apartment with his wife and his daughter. And this complete stranger picks up the phone and says, hello, my name is Gupta, you're a Gupta, can I come stay with you? There's 5 of us, no big deal, we'll just get on our feet, it's all good. Chacha's like, yeah, and I would love to help you, but like I have a 1-bedroom apartment, I'm not sure how to stack you appropriately, it's not gonna work, but you know who can help? My brother. Okay, he had a 1-bedroom, we had a 2-bedroom. And there was more of us, it was already me and Anshu and Mom and Dad, but that's right, Chacha, I love you for it, it was great. So this man calls Dad, because you know what, there was only 2 Guptas in Pittsburgh, A Gupta and S Gupta, so the guy would have called us next anyway. But anyway, so he calls this man, and this man of course says, come on down. And they lived with us for about a month, and they got on their feet, and they stayed in Pittsburgh for a long time, and they became part of our family, just like everybody in this room became part of our family. That is very much the man he was, the woman my mom was, the family that we had. We collectively, that's something really special about my dad. My dad was really a big proponent of the word we. There is no I, there is no not you, there is we. I'm going to tell a fun little story also about an interaction with my family. Katie and I, very nervously, got onto a cruise with Mom and Dad. This was during the early years, if you know what I mean. Sana was there too. Sorry, sis. And we were doing normal cruise things. And Katie, my wife, plays craps. And Dad, as you all, you see the story coming. And Dad, as all of you Pittsburgh crew playing with your Tosh, you all play poker. You guys, just in case you didn't know, the weekend thing, like we all grew up and we left, and this community, some of these people here and some people who couldn't make it, they still get together. Like to this day, every week, twice a week, whenever they can, to play cards and to eat and to be and to live and to share and to talk about what their kids and grandkids are up to, and that community is just amazing. But we're on a cruise and they play and Dad plays poker, so he's like, okay, he knows how to play craps, and I'm like, yeah, and so I'm like, I'm trying to get them to bond, right? I'm trying to like forge this relationship. And I was like, Katie, babe, you gotta go teach my dad how to play craps. And she's like, you guys know Katie, so I don't have to pretend, right? She's like, oh my God, she knew. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do it because this, okay, family, let's go. So she gets him into the casino and they're playing craps and Dad's having fun and he's rolling the dice and he has no clue what he's doing, but who cares, he had a good time. So the two of them come back and we meet up for dinner. And Dad's like, we made $300. We made $300. And Katie leans in, your dad lost $200. And I made $500. How is this we made $300 crap? I was like, Katie, I know you're white and you're learning. But us brown people, us brown people, where are we? So collectively, Dad made $300 that day. and Katie's like, okay, I see how that works. So that's, I mean, you guys know that I could go on and on and on, and I probably could, and I would, and I am, so put your seatbelts on. Dad was very much a we. When we moved in at 8239, that just gave him more bedrooms to fill. And we filled that house with a lot of love. We filled that house with a lot of joyous occasions. We filled that house with my sister's wedding, right? A lot of wedding activities happened there. And we filled that house with Mom and without her. We lost Mom 10 years ago. And talk about being lost. This man did not know what to do. He didn't know how to be. That first year, Sonali happened to be working in Pittsburgh, and she had to teach him how to use the microwave because he never made his own chai. And she had to teach him how to use the dishwasher and the washer and dryer, which, by the way, in that first year, he broke every single appliance in that house, trying to learn how to figure out how to use it. But he managed, and he figured out how to be without her, because he knew that someday they'd be okay again. For those of you who don't know, Hinduism believes in reincarnation, and we believe that your partner is your partner for 7 lifetimes. And I always ask the question, like, how do you know if it's your first or if it's your last? But I've never gotten a straight answer on that, so I'll catch the pundit before he leaves. But really, they shared a wonderful, wonderful life together, and then Dad had to learn how to be without her. And you all know his brother and his sister-in-law and his sister and his brother-in-law. And Dad figured out how to use the microwave, and he figured out how to use the dishwasher, and he figured out how to do the things, but the one thing he did not figure out how to do was cook. For those of you who know me, when I say tree and I say apple, there's another coincidence. I also stand here less than 6 months shy of my 50th birthday, and I do not learn how to cook. I hate it. Don't do it. Just 2 sandwiches, I think, I've made my wife over the last 25 years. And Jay is surpassing me, so that was good. We really appreciated that. But Dad also didn't learn how to cook. And in those 10 years he was without Mom, he and I kept talking about it. He's like, Sheena, we should learn how to cook. And I'm like, Dad, I know we should learn how to cook. And we just didn't, because we just didn't want to. So there are 2 sisters in Pittsburgh, right, Bua and Chachi. And they fed this man for 10 years, right? Every day, maybe it was Monday, Tuesday, whatever it was, maybe it was Sunday for football, he'd go to Chacha and Chachi's house and have a good meal and spend time with his family. And then he would go home with like 2 or 3 days worth of Tupperware of Indian food. And then in midweek, he would go to his sister's house, and Bua would feed him, and he'd spend time with Ike, and they would have her whatever and do whatever and be a family. And then she would send him home with 2 or 3 days of Tupperware. So if you ever opened up my dad's dishwasher, you only find 2 things in there: coffee mugs for his chai, and a shit ton of Tupperware. But these sisters fed him for 10 years. And they're hurting really, really hard right now. But they need to know that they don't have to believe that he didn't know how much they loved him. Because you showed him in every single moment, in every single meal, you showed him. So you don't have to feel sad today. You don't have to feel, you can feel sad, I'm not telling you how to feel. You don't have to feel sad today. He knows this man who brought us life and who brought us to America and all of you guys to America and all of this in this community and the people in this room. He knows how much he was loved, I promise you. I promise you. You have to trust me when I say this. I have given a billion speeches in my life. I'm an attorney. I walk into a courtroom day in and day out. I know how to do this. I've never had notes before. I was like known in my office as like the person who could do a closing argument without notes, and my bosses were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it. I got it. I'm the closer." But I need notes for today because I wasn't sure how I was going to do. When Dad died on Tuesday morning, I immediately knew that I was going to do this, and I immediately knew it was expected of me, and I immediately knew I did not know what I was going to say and what I was going to do, because this man, this dude right here, that dude with the tattoo on his arm at 78, he gave me too much material, right? He gave me too much to talk about. He gave us too many stories, too many laughs, too many cries, too many fights, too many everything. He just gave me too much material. So for the last 3, 4, 5 days, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to say. And it's really stressing my sister out. And so I actually decided this morning to take her obituary. She wrote this. And for all of you who are moved by it, please know that Sonali wrote this in the hardest moments of her life. And so I just want you to know that this is, in fact, who he was and who he will always be to us. And it is our pledge to live his legacy by continuing the amazing stuff that he's done. But I'm going to ask every single person in this room to do the same. We heard a lot from his older friends about being in India. There's a lot of stories that I can't tell. It's not my place to tell. And I'm so glad that Satish uncle and Ravi uncle and some of the and BJ uncle was able to tell you a little bit about this guy, but they just said the good stuff, so I'm going to tell you some of the crap. This dude was so bad. He was so bad. You heard about that tattoo, right? So him and his buddy, your father, was like, I don't know, were they 10, 11, 12 years old, and they snuck off and got tattoos on their hands. And when they got home, he got into a lot of trouble. We've been told something about he got hung upside down on a tree for like a little while by his uncle until his dad came home to deal with him. So discipline in India is a little rough. Let's be happy we're here in the United States of America. I assume that been hung upside down from a tree. So his rebelliousness started out early. Dad tells this story to me, and I'm going to tell this especially for the kids in the room. We all, as Asians, have this expectation to like be good students and be perfect people and go out and make money, and that's the definition of success and da-da-da-da-da-da. But please know that we all make mistakes, and please know that we're all human, and even this great man right here actually made some mistakes. This guy used to like to party, and he told me that when he was in college 1 year, so for those of you who don't know, in college in India, it's pass or fail. There's no like homework assignments that help your grades, and there's no midterms. There's like pass or fail. You take one exam, you either go forward or you stay back. And 1 year, this guy decided he was just going to party his ass off. And he partied, and he drank, and he gambled, and he hopped trains in India, just went here and there and everywhere, and he failed. And he told me this story because he's like, you know, when we were in high school and we would get together with all the aunties and uncles, it was always the same questions. What is your GPA? How are you doing on your SATs? Have you started taking the classes and when you started at 13? There's a 13-year-old kid in my SAT class. I made dad walk up to that uncle and tell him to take his child home. There's a 13-year-old kid in our SAT class. I was like, Dad, go over there and tell him, just go. He's like, yeah, I got you. And he told that man to take that kid to Kennywood Because that's where a 13-year-old should be, is in an amusement park, not an SAT class. I'm going to knock this guy over. So, like, thank you. I like it when you listen to me. I lost my track. I will find it back. Oh, yeah. So that story I tell with grace to all the kids in the room. It's okay to follow your path. It's okay to have some fun. It's okay to blow off some steam. You're going to get to where you're going to get to, and your family is always going to be there to love and support you, so don't worry about your path, because remember, this adventurousness, you know, that's what drives him, and I hope that's what drives you. Leaving India and coming to Pittsburgh, once again, we could talk about Pittsburgh for like a billion years. Luckily, once again, you guys have heard a lot about Pittsburgh and a lot about the way he raised us, and so I'm actually going to just keep going a little bit. Dad traveled a lot. He was really open to the ideas and understood the concepts of putting yourself in other cultures and learning what you can from them, right? Like, we all have a bubble. Some of us have little bubbles and some of us have larger bubbles, but this bubble, that this man tried to make our bubble the entire earth. He really tried to give us the entire planet. He traveled for work, he traveled for play, and it wasn't like tourist trap crap, right? Like, when we went, we found the locals. Dad and Sonali had an amazing opportunity. Sonali was able to take a 4-month sabbatical, and Dad and her just literally went around the world, and they went all sorts of amazing places, and that's where Dad swam with sharks in his 70s. That's when Dad, you know, parasailed in Johannesburg. That's when Dad did some of the muddiest things I don't think he would have ever done, because before that he would have felt like he had a responsibility to live, because he had a family to care for, but I think at a certain point in his life he's like, oh no, you kids are good. I can go be that 13-year-old rebellious guy again. So he was like, if I die in this shark tank, so be it. If I die parasailing, so be it. If I die doing something really cool, so be it. Because I think for him, when he got to the point where he trusted that his kids were okay, and when I say his kids, you know I'm talking about all of his nieces and nephews, and he's talking about like every other kid from Pittsburgh that he raised. He's talking about all of us. When he knew that everybody was okay, I just want you all to know that Dad was okay. Dad was okay with leaving this world because he knows that you're all okay, and that you're better than okay, and that in a certain way, you know, he's got another lifetime to live, and he's ready to go with it. Dad really did believe in service. Once again, tree, apple. Not only did he bring people into his house, but the Hindu Jain temple, you know, like, I remember when we started that temple downstairs in the ranch house, and we built a community, and I remember when the mandir was built, I was about 9 years old, and Dad and I were going weekends, and there was a couple people in this room that were there too. Ramesh uncle, are you here? Yeah, I don't know, I think, anyway. Oh yeah, Ramesh uncle, do you remember, we all went to the Hindu Jain temple, and
we were supposed to do work. I don't need this. And we were supposed to do work. And Dad's doing work, and I was 9, so my job was really simple. They gave, the inside the temple was all white. So I was given a white bucket of paint and a paintbrush, and I got to go ham because I couldn't screw up, right? Just white everywhere. So I'm doing my job, and all the uncles and all the aunties are doing their job, and Ramesh uncle, you kept disappearing, and we noticed. Just so you know, I'm calling you out because Dad always did. We learned how to do service because he taught us how to do service. Even when he left Pittsburgh and he came to Jersey. So you guys have heard about this. He came to Jersey the last 2 years of his life. It was a blessing for all of us on the Jersey side and the Philly side who got to know him and spend the last few years of our life with him. But his service didn't continue. Dad came to Cambridge Living Community, and there's a lot of people in wheelchairs, and there's a lot of people in walkers, and Dad was one of the few ambulatory men there. And like day 1, I'm like, okay guys, I'm taking 3 months out of my life. I'm gonna go be with him every single day until he acclimates to this community that we stuck him into that he wasn't too keen about being in. But we had to, and he knew it, and we knew it, and it it's okay. And day one, you go upstairs and you have meals together. And day one, he started pushing people in wheelchairs back to their rooms. And the staff came up to him and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Gupta, like, we don't like when residents do that because it's kind of a liability." And he kind of said to them, "Shut up. This is who I am. You said when we signed the papers, this is my home, and I should treat it as my home. And if these people can have cats and dogs in their room, I'm pushing wheelchairs." So he pushed wheelchairs, and he opened doors, and he made his community feel like a community. Not surprisingly, Dad was the only Indian dude there. Not surprisingly, he was also the only male of color. And so he had a lot to teach. And he embraced that. And once again, tree, apple. I embrace teaching. I embrace living my life out loud. Because unless you teach and live your life out and loud and proud and all of it, you're not teaching. So Dad continued that for every single moment until he took his last breath. There are a lot of young staff members in that place, right? Aides and nurses and techs. And they came up to me all the time and said, "Your dad's kind of become a grandfather to us all. He's always like, okay, you're an aide. You make minimum wage. Can we talk about nursing school? Can we talk about med school? Like, I'll pay for it," he said. I was like, "Dad, dude, we don't need the inheritance, but will you slow your stuff down with that?" But seriously, he would. He would pay a stranger for their education. He would take them in his car and drive them to class if it meant it was going to better their lives. And my family has said it, and my friends have said it, and he would do it to complete strangers. That is a very unique situation, and it is right? My cousin said it too, like, here and now, would we do that? Tree, apple. There is a young man that spent the night at my house last night. All right? And he's a part of our family now. And he is a part of our family because my dad taught me that if you meet anyone who you can help, you shall. If you can, you shall. Whether it is your money or your time or your maybe made up wisdom, if you can, you shall. So please, do not ignore the strangers that you see in your life, because if you can, you should. That is what he taught us. That is what is going to live within me, and it's going to live within my kid, and will live within all of our kids. Because this guy didn't just talk about it, he lived it. I need to say this because if I don't, I'll never forgive myself. Everyone in this room knows that 25 years ago I came out to my parents. And 25 years ago, this man had a decision, because he is the head of our family. And where he goes, they follow. And if he had decided in that moment that I wasn't going to be the way he wanted me to be, if I wasn't going to fit in whatever it was that you guys think I should have fit, if he just didn't accept the fact that I said things to him that he did not understand, I said something to him that he did not understand. I said something to my family that they did not understand. I said something to my community that you did not at the time understand. If my father walked away from me that day, nobody in this room would know me. Because I wouldn't have a family. And even though in that moment he wasn't sure how this was all going to work out, and even though in that moment he wasn't sure how he was going to do it himself, he told me, "We will figure this out. You are my daughter. We will figure this out." In the next 2 or 3 years, I describe it as World War III of talking and yelling and arguing and trying to make you understand. And the thing about him is he listened and he yelled back. You all like to forget. All the hum-sum people, don't get him started. You guys like to argue about stuff. He doesn't let stuff go. He yelled back. But every time we had that argument, which was like every 4 seconds, I would leave and go back to my apartment, and I would say to myself, and I would say to my partner, that's it. It's over. I gotta learn how to be myself and I. And 2 or 3 days later, he would call me, and it was always him that called me because I had to be prepared for a life without him. I had to be prepared for a life without my family. So it was him who always had to call me and say, Shino, I thought about what you said, and it moved me. And I'm going to get Mom there, and I'm going to get whoever needs to come there, and I'm going to get my family there, and I'm going to get Pittsburgh there, I'm going to get the temple there, and I'm going to get India there. I'm going to get there because you're my daughter. Period. We all think at some point in our lives that we can't grow anymore. We all think at some point in our lives we can't learn anymore, and that is just not true. So whether you're 10, 20, 50, 80, 100, there is more learning to be had. There is more growth to be had. This man came from India where they have certain thoughts, and he came to America, and sometimes we share those thoughts and sometimes we don't, and he grew. And he grew, and he understood, and he listened, and he learned, and he changed himself, and he tried. So that's what I want you all to do, not just for him, but for yourselves, is to just do it, just to try, just to learn. I got it. I know. I'm almost done.
I know. I'm just here to give you a very loving hug.
But yeah, I know what time it is. I'm good.
Okay.
I also don't have to get into the life of the party. Tree, apple. No, about that. Because as I said, like, is there such a thing as a manifestation of this guy? Guys, I want to leave you with two thoughts. We've talked about Mom. We've talked about the two of them returning to each other. And I just want you all to know that I was with Dad a lot the last 2 years. He lived like 10 minutes away from me on purpose, right? I wanted to keep him close. I was able to spend a lot of time with him, and I kept people in touch as best as I could. And it's true, if somebody couldn't get a hold of Dad, they came to me, and I made sure he reached out. Bua is hilarious. She would call him every day, and if she didn't hear from him for 24 hours, then she'd be calling me. And it was wonderful. It was an amazing experience to be able to seriously see and or talk to my dad every single day for the last 2-something years. Our daughter touched upon it. You know, she got to spend a lot of wonderful time with him. She had a unique experience. She actually goes to school just across the street from Cambridge. And so there was a few occasions where I'm like, hey kid, I can't get to you on time, just go to Nunna's. And she just would like lug her backpack a half a mile and just hang out with him until I could get there. But more importantly was a story I just want to share really quickly, and then I only have one more thing to say, and that's this. You know, everybody has their legacy, and they have their children and their grandchildren, and Jay is Dad's grandchild, and he got to spend a lot of wonderful time with her. And about 2 years ago, she had a school dance, and she didn't want to go, she just wasn't into it. But all of her friends were going, so this was her idea, and so we decided to surprise him with it. And after school, all the kids went down the street and they got ready, except for Jaya. She stayed in her little like baggy jeans and hoodie and whatever, and all the kids got into their dresses. They all went out to dinner in little town, Morristown. And then they all went to the dance, and she surprised her Nana. And she just knocked on his door and hung out with him for the next 2 or 3 hours. And then her friends came back from the dance, and they hooked, you know, they got together again, and I picked a couple of them up, and it was a sleepover. And of course, my first question is like, was he surprised? And she's like, oh my God, he was totally surprised. He couldn't believe I was like knocking on his door, especially because it was kind of odd since we don't usually hang out with him in the evenings. And I was like, what did you do? And she's like, she's so blasé, right? She's like, nothing, Mommy, we talked. And we played pool. And we watched like some Hindi show, and I was trying to keep up with like, you know, the subtitles. They do have a Hindi show though that they do watch together, so that's between her and her Nana. And she's like, we bonded. And it was great. And I'm so glad that she has that memory, because I know he has that memory. And so I know that he's leaving this physical world in a good spot. It's dangerous having an attorney in the family. Everyone has wills. Everyone has all that stuff, because I make us talk about it. So Dad and I talked about it a lot. And our daughter actually, once again, Katie, Jaya, myself, and Dad were sitting around having a conversation. This was just around Christmas time. And the question was posed, you know, if you could describe your life in one word, what would it be? I don't remember what Jaya said, but I'd imagine she's young. It was something optimistic. I don't remember what Katie said, but she's snarky, so I'm sure it was something sarcastic. And I'm like thinking, and we were going around the table, and Dad, of course, skipped my turn and said, deadpan. Complete. Dad said, complete. So although we are all devastated and we will continue to be devastated, there is a part of me that is very, very at peace with letting him go, because I know my dad was complete. None of us are ready to let him go, but he was complete. And so he's on to his next karmic adventure. And if his next lifetime is to be with Mom, we are really, really, really looking forward to seeing how that all pans out for both of them, because they were truly, truly complimentary. And we are truly, truly blessed to have known them all. So please, do everything you can to live your life in a way where at the end you get to say that I'm complete. Namaste. That's the last bit. You want to let us know when you're ready to take your
Around your arm, she needs speech.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about
In a very traditional Hindu tradition, cremation will follow immediately, which will take place in about another 15 minutes. This now concludes the puja. Just for a personal note, sometimes it's nice to hear laughter at a funeral. It's not a word you ever want to use, fun, laugh, happy, but listening to this man's legacy, it was about making people happy. Happiness, you have a condition called laughter that comes after it. What a beautiful legacy. Even I'm thinking, if I ever get in trouble and need an attorney, I know who to turn to, because I know the judge will say not guilty instead of hearing the closing argument. I just had to go along with the word complete. I'm a funeral director. I see death every day. I appreciate your culture. Your beliefs are beautiful, but I think that living a life that you can finally say at the end of your life, saying complete, you can't find any better words. So at this time, I'm going to ask, starting from the back, just come up. You're going to just pass by the family, pay your respects, and only the immediate family is going to stay behind for the cremation. The cremation takes place right in this building, so as soon as you step out of this chapel, the immediate family only will go to the crematory. I know there's refreshments in the back, so if you don't leave right away, you can just go in the kitchen area and have refreshments that the family provided. So we'll start from the back, please come forward. The family, if you want to greet your guests, and then we'll prepare for the cremation. Thank you.
As everyone comes forward, there's a basket with rose petals. I've asked everyone to take some rose petals and place in the casket, please.